On the evening of April 5th, at 1,645 hours, Company A253 Infantry led the attack on a hill directly east of Untergriesheim. They were supported by 3rd Platoon, Company C, 753rd Tank Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Anthony F. Daskovich. They were also supported by a forward observer team from Battery A861 Field Artillery led by 1st Lieutenant James Robinson, including PFC John C. Sullivan, and T/4 Robert G. Wilkins. During the attack, Sergeant Wilkins was occupying an exposed position under heavy enemy fire to assist Lieutenant Robinson in bringing artillery fire upon the enemy mortar and machine guns. Sergeant Wilkins remained in the exposed position until he was severely wounded, at which time PFC Sullivan took over the duties of Sergeant Wilkins until PFC Sullivan himself was wounded. Orders were given to withdraw to Untergriesheim to reorganize and prepare for a dawn attack. Robert G. Wilkins received a battlefield commission while in the hospital and died of his wounds on July 1, 1945. Company A253 infantry attack was not the only hill that was under attack in the late afternoon of April 5. At around 1,600 hours, Company F-253 Infantry decided to attempt to take a hill southwest of its position in the direction of Company E-253 Infantry. 3rd Platoon, supported by 3 tanks, arrived on the ridge and started moving forward through Company H-253 Infantry defenses in attack formation. 3rd Platoon Company F-253 Infantry made the attempt on this hill and was unable to take the hill due to the large amount of enemy artillery and mortar fire. The 17th SS quickly repelled the attacking force when the Americans withdrew and returned to the safety of the town of Untergriesheim. They left behind 2 of the 3 tanks that were disabled. 3rd Platoon Company F-253 Infantry suffered 2 casualties, Staff Sergeant Lyle Jacobitz and PFC Francis Messick. This attack also resulted in Company H-253 Infantry to have all hell broke loose again with increased enemy artillery, rockets, mortars and 20mm anti-aircraft fire to counter the attack. Tech Sergeant Boyd R. Hollis was caught out of his hole and immediately, on instinct, jumped into the nearest hole. The hole was occupied by PFC Bill W. Clark and PFC Robert L. Schuler, 2 machine gunners from H Company. The space was limited as the hole was only 2 feet by 4 feet by 5 feet deep. Because the foxhole was only about 10 yards from Staff Sergeant John J. R. Kinney foxhole, Sergeant Kinney called to Sergeant Hollis to come over and join Kinney, as there was plenty of room in Kinney's foxhole since no one else was in the foxhole. According to Kinney, frankly, I appreciated having company under these frightening circumstances. Tech Sergeant Boyd R. Hollis dashed over, jumped in, and waited out the barrage with me. Shortly, a large explosion occurred in the foxhole Hollis had just left. A large projectile, most likely a 105mm round, landed directly into the foxhole and instantly killed PFC Bill W. Clark and severely wounding PFC Robert L. Schuler. When the incoming barrage died down, Sergeant Hollis and Sergeant Kinney went to investigate the hole that had been demolished. They found PFC Bill W. Clark was dead. PFC Robert L. Schuler was wounded by shrapnel in all parts of his anatomy, but particularly in his torso. Sergeant Kinney joined 3 other GIs to help carry the stretcher out with PFC Robert L. Schuler. When Kinney was carrying the stretcher down the hill to the battalion aid station, the thing that moved Kinney the most about this event was when he noticed the near mortally wounded soldier trying to speak. Kinney leaned down close to Schuler's face and heard him faintly say, "I'm just glad to be alive." This was very emotional for Kinney, from the numerous wounds he suffered. The death of PFC Clark, the mutilation of PFC Schuler, and the endless barrage of artillery, rockets, mortars and anti-aircraft fire from April 4th to 7th took its toll on Tech Sergeant Boyd R. Hollis. As well as the pointless loss of 30 men on April 3rd, Hollis was a seasoned combat veteran, first seeing combat against the Japanese in the Aleutian Islands, then 2 campaigns in France and Germany. But his close call to death on April 5, 1945 was the point that made this seasoned combat veteran need a break. Although he should have left on April 5, he stayed with his men for another 2 days, serving as an excellent platoon sergeant of 4th Platoon. But on April 7, 1945, he was taken off the line as a non-battle casualty due to extreme battle fatigue exhaustion, thus giving him an opportunity for some quiet rest in a safe place. These 2 attacks resulted in the 63rd Division sustaining several casualties on April 5, but it did help in relieving the pressure that E Company and G Company 253rd Infantry was under.